This company went from zero to $3 million a year in just 12 months. They're covering every steps of lead generation until Breakcold takes over to nurture leads and close the deals. Today, I'm super pumped to announce you our new native integration with none other than Salesforge. This one is special because it's done on both sides, meaning that you have a native integration on Breakcold side, but also on Salesforge side. I got Frank, the CEO of Salesforge, to share his knowledge about the software at the beginning, but also at the end of the video. In the between, I showcase you how the Salesforge integration works. What is Salesforge and what is your role at Salesforge?
Oh, hey guys, I'm Frank. I'm the co-founder and the CEO. There's other two co-founders at the Forge. We've been around for less than 2 years, so growing very fast. $0 to $3 million in ARR. 3 co-founders to 40 people in 12 months. And so a lot of things are happening. Integrating with cool people like you as well along the way. And prior to that, I've just been in sales for over a decade. So always like frontline sales, SDR work, cold calling, emailing, whatever, closing deals, account exec. And in my last job, I had a sales team of 50 people before I started this company. So we're all about helping essentially companies to attain this sales pipeline targets with the least headcount possible, and doing so with the highest probability using big data behind the scenes. So we're not a CRM, nothing like that. We just help you execute your sales motion. We do that very effectively via email. As a human, you can spin up also an AI agent, namely Agent Frank, after me. There will be other agent names as well in the future. And then you can sync up with Breakcold or other systems of your choice. And then do the other part of the coin, which is the jumping in the call, nurturing, closing a deal, etc. Right? So we're not in that part.
I think it's can be very interesting to have a breakdown of like the Forge environment, because here we're talking about like the Salesforge integration, but it's all linked with a different bunch of products that you guys are making.
So, so the first part is all about sort of, let's call it, finding the right people to reach out to, right? So you have an ideal customer profile in mind. You want to reach out to the right people. You don't know which database to use. So we've created a product called leadsforge.ai. Leadsforge.ai is like ChatGPT, essentially connecting to all databases in the world. So you query, you find your leads, you get your leads, and then the next question becomes, okay, where did these leads go? They could go to Breakcold, right? In the future, they could go to Salesforge to execute, or you could just get a CSV. But ultimately, you need to find the leads, the best possible leads against your ideal customer profile in the fastest possible way. And that's the kind of ChatGPT thing. The next thing is to set up what's called your if you are passing the leads over to Salesforge to execute, you also, before you execute any leads, you should never use your primary business domain to reach out to prospects, right? Because you, due to the issues what's happening in the world of cold email or just generally email ecosystem, you should set up what's called a dedicated cold email infrastructure. So that means secondary domains, which are lookalike to your primary domain that you set up, and also email accounts that you would just use, that you would hook up, say, to Salesforge or anywhere else. So we have a couple products on that. It's called MailForge and InfoForge. Not going to go into that, what they mean, but you need infrastructure. So the first pillar was data pillar. Second pillar was what we call infrastructure pillar. Then you need also the right software to sort of to execute. So that's Salesforge. So there are essentially solutions in the market that help you to send emails in the right way when it comes to cold emails, and then there's the wrong ones. So I always say, don't use MailChimp to send cold emails. Use the right tools, right? So as an example, right? And the final part is the copy part. So the copy part, that's you can making sure you craft really relevant messaging, etc. This is not the final pillar of being successful in the world of cold email. And then, of course, then the rest of the process, this is where Breakcold comes in. And so we do that by email right now. We're just about to launch also LinkedIn as well as a second channel as part of the equation. Naturally, Breakcold is the number one social CRM out there, right? And this is why it's a fantastic next sort of kind of step to go into to then nurture your leads in a bunch of different ways.
All right, guys. So this is how you can make the Salesforce integration work. So the first thing, you're gonna go to Salesforce, and then you're gonna go to settings. Then you're gonna click on API. Then you're gonna click on add new API key. So I'm gonna call it Breakcold tests. Then I'm gonna click on generate API key. You copy this. Then you go back to Breakcold. You go to settings. You go to App Store, and you search for Salesforce. Then you're gonna click here, install, copy paste your API key, validate, and boom, this is installed. So now, with that being said, let me show you a couple of examples on how you can use the Salesforce integration on our side. So first thing is you're going to click on activate. And let's do like a thing where when someone in the positive replies list go from interested to sign up, let's say they will go to a specific sequence. And now back to Breakcold. Let's go to the positive replies list. So you see here we have this guy like Antonio. And so with Antonio, what we're gonna do is that, yeah, when you click on the three dots here, you have a push to Salesforce button. So if I go to the sequence in Salesforce, you can see right there that I have this demo campaign, and I only have Frank right now. And so you see in one click, if I click on push to Salesforce and I select the workspace and the sequence, like the lead will be pushed in the sequence. So if I just refresh the page, because I don't think it's instant, now you have Antonio right there. But you can also do that in bulk. So meaning that you can just click here and push to Salesforce, and then all the leads in that specific list, or all the leads with the filters you use, will be pushed in that list. So that is one of the first way on how you can do this. So let me like just delete Antonio again right here, just for the sake of the example. And the second way is automatically. So we just done a setup as you saw in the settings. And what we said was that if we have, for example, I don't remember, like yeah, we say that when a lead goes from interested to sign up, the lead will be pushed automatically to a Salesforce campaign. So you see, Antonio, it goes from interested to sign up. Now automatically, you see, is now in the campaign. And so that is how you can like leverage like the Salesforce integration on our side to push leads manually, but also automatically to your sequences in Salesforge. All right, then you have Salesforge integration on their side. So I'm going to show you how it works. Essentially, when you are in Salesforce, you can go to integrations. And right now, you have Breakcold right there. And um, like by the time you're watching this video, probably you will have two options. So an option to push your positive replies to the CRM. So meaning like you do your cold email sequence or your LinkedIn sequence with Salesforge, and you have a positive reply. Then with just one button, you will be able to push that lead into a specific list in Breakcold and eventually into a specific sales pipeline stage. So that would be part of the native integration on Salesforce side. But right now, at the time I'm recording this video, which may be a week earlier than this other release from them, like you can pull leads from Breakcold into Salesforge with a couple of options. So what you need to do is that you need to get your API key from Breakcold. So for that, you're going to go to API keys right there, and I'm going to copy paste that one. And from there, I'm going to click on connects, and I'm going to copy my API key there and click on connect. And the cool thing about this integration on the side is that you can choose, you can pretty much like map all the custom variables pretty easily, and so that everything is like synced with our list and the type of custom fields you've built in Breakcold. So for example, here you have the basic fields: email, LinkedIn URL, company URL, etc. And then you have custom variables. All right, and once you've done that, you're going to click on save changes, and it's done. Now it's installed on Salesforce. And so from there, when you are in your Salesforce sequences, what you can do is that you can click on import contacts. And when you're going to click on add contacts, you have multiple ways to import your contacts. And you can see that you have import from Breakcold CRM. You're going to click on this, and you see automatically Salesforce like fetches like all the different lists that you have. So let's say I just want to take the people in this demo list, engage on LinkedIn. I can just click on select from there. And you see, I can just type a tag or whatever. And then like it will pull out like all the contacts. Okay, it took a couple of seconds, but it just imported the different people that we've just done. So yeah, this is how it works essentially. Got it. And what are your typical customers? Is it mostly agencies or it's really all types? If you can divide a little bit.
Sure. I think we are much heavier skewed on what we call just typical just SMBs at this stage. We do have an agency segment, but it's not as big. I'd say probably like 30% or so. But like 70% is like heavy SMB business. So you are like, a business owner, maybe up to 50 employees or so roughly right now. And you're just looking to grow your business. In a lot of cases, you could be sort of VC backed as well, because so you have a pressure to grow, but you want to grow it with your business with the least possible headcount, right? So we come really at the beginning. We are expanding to what we call the mid market, so also bigger companies as well as we're growing as a business. But also we have agencies, a lot of them. The reason why agencies is very why we're very fit for agencies. So we have a lot of functionality that's just for agencies. For example, unlimited workspaces that you can have for your customers. Whereas with other vendors they charge for each of the workspaces. In our case, it's free. But the other cool thing about us is we offer white labeling capabilities. So full on white label. Imagine if you are an agency, you have agency.com as your domain. We could set up a subdomain, for example, infrastructure.agency.com. So you could literally white label the whole infrastructure business that we have without sign of InfoForge, for example, and then you could just resell that and make a ton of money. Because naturally, agencies love the affiliate fees that they generate, right, from a lot of tools, us, you, and a bunch of other ones, right? But they would also love to white label being a reseller, because you love that you love that software, etc. That's really typically the next step.
Got it, got it. And when it comes to Salesforge itself, what is the latest big feature you guys release, and why was it like a game changer?
So the sexiest thing that we're releasing is really LeadsForge.ai. That's the final Forge before we call this a proper ecosystem. So Forge ecosystem, because data is a critical component to be successful. And if you're sending emails to the wrong people, or even LinkedIn messages, etc., then nothing will happen in your life, right? So now there's a lot of cool tools in the market, a lot of databases, etc. But for the unsavvy people, they don't know which database to choose, which tool to choose, etc. So we built literally the search engine for leads, to find leads, and you just talk to it, and people are ecstatic. I mean, in the first week we had 100 demos booked for the whole thing. So it's flying off the shelves right now. So it's doing really well. But it's like the Chat GPT moment for data. It's like super cool. A lot of people are like, oh, Frank, I've never seen anything like this. So so we don't build. I mean, we have built a lot of features, but it's really about we're like this sort of what we call the Apple kind of feeling, where you have these different forges for different pain points, so that when it comes to building your pipeline, right, as effectively as you can across email and then LinkedIn very soon, you're coming to us, and then you only buy what you need. It's a bit like Lego. Frank, I wanted this forge, I want that forge, and that forge, and that's it. Out of the 6, let's go that way, that we have right now. Somebody maybe wants the AI agent, and that's the flexibility that we give you instead of using a different sort of point solutions. Now, the disadvantage and disadvantages to both approaches, but you have to decide what's really good for you. And a lot of people love the Apple feeling, the ease of use, logging into all the softwares with one login ID, what we call Forge ID, not Apple ID. So all of those are sort of the benefits that we offer. And plus, if you look at the kind of the overall cost of the stack to build your pipeline, we're significantly cheaper than using a bunch of different sort of point solutions combined. So that's kind of the thought process. And of course, you need to integrate less, because Forge 1 talks to Forge 2, to Forge 3, and Forge 4. So there's a lot of less headaches. As a result, you should see on average better results than plugging in a bunch of different point solutions, faster results, and so on and so forth, right? So that's really probably the main kind of USP of the Forge ecosystem.
Got it. And so I think it's pretty much linked. You already talked about it. So
Mhm.
LinkedIn is coming
Yes.
in Salesforge. So what can you share about it? What
Yeah.
people can expect when it's going to be released? And by the time they're watching this video, it will be released
It
probably.
will be released as well. Yeah. I would say, think of it this way. So just like in the world of email, we have this concept of using sort of unlimited email accounts to distribute a load of emails. That's exactly what we're going to do in the world of LinkedIn. The goal is to not just to connect your one profile, but the goal is to connect your whole team of your company. Let's start with the go-to-market team, right? The whole go-to-market team. So my whole go-to-market team right now is 13 people. Guess what? All 13 profiles are connected to execute everything that needs to be executed, right? And I can pick the right profile for the right things, etc. I think what stands out is we're thinking about teams a lot more, like your whole company team to be integrated and leveraged, because as we all know, there's let's call it capacity constraints with LinkedIn, a lot of other issues. We also look into de-risk, of course, and send essentially maybe a little amount of messages or activities per account. Is all of that the concept of trying to de-risk just generally your LinkedIn, and of course, we already typically see sort of 4-5% reply reply rates just on average across email. And with LinkedIn, of course, we can increase that. So we'd expect probably to increase the reply rates a bit more because naturally a lot more people reply typically on LinkedIn, right? So then on email. That's the good stuff with LinkedIn. But the bad stuff with LinkedIn, it just doesn't really scale. So it's nice for the small businesses, but the ones that are like bigger teams, right, they typically want to connect multiple profiles, and they think from what they call the team standpoint or company standpoint when they execute. That's the feeling I'm going to give you. I'm not going to give you the one profile kind of feeling. I'm going to give you the team view, the team execution, the team everything, and that's how a lot of people think about email, and that's the same feeling you're going to get about LinkedIn. And yeah, I think that's the most important. And of course, we're gonna build other forges in the future. So there's more coming. A lot of cool stuff is coming. And then when we're gonna build that stuff will work with LinkedIn and with email very, very nicely. So, and then the final frontier, really, what we'll do is we'll also gonna bring out VoIP, so the ability to call your prospect in the future, because cold calling definitely still generates a lot of revenue. So we have people that cold call as an example. So that will nicely work with LinkedIn and with email.
And when it comes to calling, like, are you guys thinking more about like one-to-one step with calling, or are you thinking about like parallel dialers type? Like, what's your approach? Because it seems like you have sometimes an approach for teams to scale. So what would be the approach for VoIP there?
It's the same approach as we would do on LinkedIn and email. So that typically means the parallel dial approach. As in, as a team, we have to call, right? So it's not about one seat or something. It's about our calling across the whole team. That's how we think about generally, right? So we need to have X number of calling activities across the team rather than sort of per rep call is what our thought process. So, and the reason why we look also what we call at the team level is because we don't just have humans that are operating within our ecosystem. We also have AI agents that operate, and they may come in to assist you in different steps of the journey to help you generate more pipeline. And then the human will take over, let's say, in a breakcold environment, etc. So it just depends, because definitely we are to help businesses to reduce the pressure to hire more people. We are thinking about different ways how we can plug in the agentic, let's call it workflows, so the agents in the right places to help you ultimately achieve higher efficiency levels and reduce headcount within sales.
Got it. And I know you are venturing, or I mean, it's already working, but in AI SDR. So
Yes.
yeah, the question is, what's your take on AI SDRs?
So there's a huge pressure to, like I mentioned, there's a huge pressure to figure out ways of how to keep teams lean and mean, not just in sales, but also finance and a bunch of other spaces, right? So one of the ultimately what people are thinking about is automation, and an AI agent is just a means to an end. Now, there's a lot of there's definitely a space what's called the AI SDR space, and there's a lot of companies that build these AI SDRs, but what they're doing is they're discounting the human, which is, I think, a grave error. If you're a sales leader, a company, if a co-founder, and you need to grow your pipeline and your revenue, you will never say that, hey, can we remove the human in fully from the equation? The answer is no. But we can definitely what's called augment, or what we call blend, the AI agent with the humans in tandem. Think of this like a Google Ads campaign, right? So in the Google Ads, you could be running essentially campaigns with manual bidding. These are all bids all set by humans. And then you can have a second campaign, which is what's called an automated campaign, or called the agentic campaign. It's kind of the same. You set the bid, the goal is, this is the CPA, this is the cost per acquisition or targeting, and then the bids will be set automatically. Think of this way, essentially one environment, humans working with AI agents to achieve greater outcomes. So more output, more pipeline, at a lower cost per unit. So the cost, let's say, per meeting will significantly be driven down. That's our belief where the world is headed. So we have this what we call unique kind of, this unique kind of positioning in the AI agent space, because we don't discount humans. Because we, as a former sales leader, I know you cannot fully replace humans, but you can reduce humans from a typical size. And you can see that, like, in other areas, you can see that more and more companies are able to achieve higher revenue levels per employee. We just want to do a good job in the world of pipeline.
Okay, got it. And within the Forge environment, what would you say is maybe like the product that is getting the most eyeballs on, or is like all the product is so much interconnected that maybe they start with one Forge product and then they expand pretty much, or do you see like a clear maybe one that is attracting more people initially, maybe Salesforge, because here it's the top.
Salesforge is the mothership product, right? Because you have to execute, you have to log in every day. So yes, it's the centerpiece, like the core forge, and then around the core forge we have these other forges that sort of like this a ring of fire, sort of somebody said. And that's exactly how I think about it. So the core baby is Salesforge, but within Salesforge we have AI agents. So both of them are doing well. We have customers that both use what we call the human path. So the humans operating there, the sales teams, plus they buy the AI agent to go after other accounts. So I'll give you an example. So let's say you as a founder, you as a human, you go after what's called key accounts. Really, these are the accounts. It's called the spearhead approach. You're going after them, you're chasing them on LinkedIn, you're calling them, you're doing everything, right, that you can. But then you have these, let's call it the long tail, like a lot of tiny fish, that you need to go after. And then to put to put humans against that, it's too expensive. It doesn't make sense. But if they're gonna knock on our doors, we'll take the deal, right? So as an example, but it's too expensive to go out to them initially. So that's a fantastic way to put the AI agent on that, because an AI agent typically is up to 10 times just cheaper. Yes, it has its own downsides as an AI agent, but that's kind of a one way to look at how do you blend these two capabilities. What are the use cases? This is one, but there's other ones as well. So yeah.
Okay, got it. So perfect transition to ask you, in your opinion, like what is the biggest advice you would give to someone starting to use Salesforge so that they have amazing results using the platform?
Yeah, I think you have to understand how the success is being driven typically. So I typically say there's 4 pillars for success in email. So there's the pillar around data. So you need to find the right leads. They have to be good leads. Pillar 2 is copy. You need to make sure you're sending relevant messaging to those individuals. Pillar 3 is use the right software to send and have the right strategy of execution. Execute the emails and the sending the right way. And the pillar 4 is the infrastructure. So generally speaking, if you want to be successful, you need to invest in these 4 areas to be successful. And typically the reason why you're not successful is because there's underinvestment in one of the 4 pillars. If one pillar fails, everything else fails. That's probably the simplest way to look at it. And then sure, you can stitch different softwares together, right, to arrive to that, but that's really the theory. And then you have to start thinking, how do I solve my data problem? How do I solve my copy problem? How do I solve my strategy execution problem? And how do I solve my infrastructure problem? That's it. That's how it comes to the world of email and being successful.
Yeah, fully agree. Especially data
Yeah.
deliverability. I
Yeah.
think it's if you can have bad copy and still manage it to work, but this are
Yeah.
tough.
But yes, but that's really what it boils down to. Like I always, I already done over, I have done thousands of calls with customers, and we always talk about the same thing. There's nothing,
Yeah,
like, there's
yeah, it
nothing
is.
different. Like, are you sending the right emails to the right people? What's with the infrastructure? Do you use the right software? And I still have customers coming from newsletter softwares like Mailchimp and transitioning over to us, for example. So it's like things like that. You still see people using the old school softwares that are not designed for cold emailing, for example, right? So yeah.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And so, as a final question, like, what do you think about the state of sales CRMs in general?
So I think the CRM space is one of the largest spaces in the world, right? So, and you need to have your position. You have the big boys, you got the Salesforces, the HubSpots, but I think what you're seeing, and that's exactly what you're seeing with Breakcold, there's definitely what you call you can become the number one CRM in a particular niche, essentially, right? So essentially, Breakcold for me is the number one in social space. If you're heavy on social, making sure you're connected with your customers via WhatsApp that you just released right now, LinkedIn, for example, right? So kind of thinking about these channels that the typical CRMs do not offer any capabilities, and you're all about LinkedIn, you're all about WhatsApp and all that stuff. If you're in that mindset, that's Breakcold, right? And if you're not a mindset, right, you say social is not for me. Maybe it's not the right. So I think the space is huge, and you have to choose what we call the right CRM for your needs. And a lot of people are like, oh, I should use for HubSpot or Salesforce. I was like, no, I mean, if you're not looking to grow beyond this and that, you don't need all those features. Like generally, you need the best CRM for your need for the pain that you currently have, right? If it's about connecting with your customers effectively across the channels that you have access to, then maybe that's Breakcold, right? And then other CRMs are good at other things and so on and so forth. But yeah, because we were always big on LinkedIn, WhatsApp will come also one day, right? So it makes sense that we also want to work with what we call the number one social CRM out there, to ensure that you have these different other channels that you can talk to your customer. Just email, email is too old school, right? The reason why email is so old school, email has such a saturation level, right? So people definitely enjoy speaking on LinkedIn and WhatsApp, etc. The reason why that's the case is because the reply rates typically are significantly higher in social than in the world of email. So it makes sense that if you are interacting with your customers you want to interact them across also multiple channels, because sometimes also what happens is, let's say the user is not very active on LinkedIn, maybe need an email, right? So those two channels are out. But let's say if you do have the ability to connect them with WhatsApp, on WhatsApp, they're gonna respond to you. In markets like, I don't know, for example, UAE or Latin America, etc., where it's just common to be talking, right? So making sure that you talk to your customer in the right channel with them is very important. So, for example, we have right now a prospect from Brazil. I told to my rep, hey, go on only speak to them on WhatsApp. Do not speak to them on email, and so on and so forth. And that's how some markets are. You need to know the right channel for the right customer, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. All come down to the ICP in the end.